We always try to bring you the very, very smartest, very, very best guest and analysis we can find out there, and this guest is certainly no exception. Thrilled to make the acquaintance of Shahin Gobadi, who is a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee of the National Council of Resistance. He's a spokesman for the Paris-based People's Mujahideen Organization of Iran. Mr. Gobadi, thank you so much for your time this morning, sir. Welcome in.
I'm glad to be on your show, Chris, and I hope you have had a good day, and you will have a good days for a long time to come, and all your viewers and listeners, wherever they are.
Thank you so much, sir. We are feeling very, very good and confident about the events over the weekend and this week. What is your assessment? These are things I guess for our audience that's not familiar with you, maybe tell them a little about your background and your perspective, and as you watch what's been unfolding in Iran, how you see it.
Well, basically, I come from the National Council of Resistance of Iran, Chris, which is a coalition of Iranian opposition movements, which are both anti-Shah, the former dictator in Iran, and the current theocracy, looking forward to establish a democratic republic in Iran. And it has a president-elect in a woman, Madam Mariam Rajavi, who has articulated a 10-point plan for the future of Iran, which calls for separation of government and religion, for a non-nuclear Iran, a total gender equality, and all the freedoms, and as well as mutual, amicable, amiable relationship with the rest of the world, and abolition of death penalty. So we are striving to establish a new Iran, an Iran which would be in peace and coexistence with the rest of the world. And I think you will find it interesting that there's a vast network of operatives inside Iran called resistance units, which are affiliated to our main member constituent called the People's Mujahideen Organization of Iran. And their function is to battle the IRGC, the regime's repressive forces, to set the stage for the next uprising, which looms on the horizon, because we believe the change should come from bottom up inside Iran, to bring about a change by the Iranians, for the Iranians, and we think this is very closer than ever.
Mr. Gobadi, are you Iranian yourself?
Of course. I was born in Tehran.
Okay.
I grew up in Tehran.
The reason I ask, and I just wanted to know your perspective, so you having a background and a history there and hailing from there, is it true what we Americans hear, that the vast majority of Iranian citizens are in fact moderates who do not like living under this theocracy? Is that accurate?
100%. 100%. You see, and let's put the facts where they belong. In the last 7.5 years, to be exact, since December 2017, there has been 5 major nationwide uprisings in Iran alone. 5. And this is despite very heavy-handed crackdown. Just in the last round of uprisings, a lot of your viewers might remember in September 2022, which went well into the early 2023, 750 protesters were killed, 90,000 of them were arrested, while there were protests in all 31 provinces, in 300 cities and towns throughout the country, in which the resistance units of the MEK, the resistance movement, played a key role. So I think that speaks volumes about where the sentiment of the Iranian people are. As I said, one of the key chants that they kept chanting was, down with oppressor, be it the Shah, the former dictator, or the supreme leader, the current dictator. So they want to reject the dictatorship in any shape and form, and they're looking forward to establish a democratic republic. And let's put one thing to rest once and for all. The notion that they're enemies of America and things like this, they're all conjured up by the regime. One of the chants of the Iranian people are having in the streets is, our enemies here, they lie to us, that's America. So let's put this to rest once and for all. Iranian people, like any other good people in this church, want democracy, freedom.
Mr. Gobadi, what we know is these strikes and many of the leadership that were taken out is directly correlated with this resistance movement, posing as Iranian sympathizers and even inside the government, right, who then were secretly spies for Israel, the United States, and helping them guide these strikes, as I understand it. Here's my question for you. The movement of the resistance, which you say is most of the people, I think what I don't have an appreciation for is being so terrified of the police state that is Iran. Is that it, that these people are so many of them are afraid of what would happen to them? The threat is so great if they speak up and drive an overthrow of this theocracy?
Well, actually, to some respect, your observation is correct, but if I may add something to it, the regime obviously rules by pure terror. If I may put it in perspective, in the last 40 years, there has been 120,000 exceptions of the citizens who speak for freedom and democracy.
120,000? May I just, that's stunning. There have been 120,000 executions just because people have said we want out from under this leadership.
Definitely. And, you know, we have documented all of this. 90% of them belong to our resistance movement. And the youngest we documented was a 13-year-old teenage girl whose only crime was to sell the newspaper of the resistance. And the oldest was 72-year-old grandmother, and all in between. And what's important is that this is nationwide throughout the country. Yet, despite this crackdown, as I said, the resistance units are growing. In the last year alone, there have been 3,000 acts of going, you know, burning the big pictures of the supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, whatever symbolizes the regime. Their statue, even sometimes burning the centers of the paramilitary Basij who represses the people. So yes, the regime has resorted to absolute terror to keep the lid on the situation, but they are simply losing the battle with the Iranian people.
Shahin Gobadi is with us. He is a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee of the National Council of Resistance in Iran. There's a great debate, as you know, in the United States about what's known as, quote, regime change wars and whether the United States needs to be involved in a regime change in Iran. Many Trump voters say, no, that's not our place. I don't know your point of view, but it does seem to me the best change of course in a country is when it's driven first by its own citizens, not by force from outside. Would you agree with that? I think you probably feel that way.
You read my mind completely. You see, we have always maintained that regime change by the Iranian people and the resistance is a necessity to put an end to the Iran crisis. This regime will never give up its drive to acquire nuclear weapons. It will never give up supporting terrorists. It will never give up repressing Iranian people. These are all in the DNA of this regime. Having said this, for the last 20-some years, Mrs. Maryam Rajavi, the woman the resistance has elected to be its president-elect, has said time and again, as recent as literally last Wednesday at the European Parliament, that the task of bringing about that change from bottom up is to the Iranian people and their organized resistance solely. This is our mission. This is our commitment. But at the same time, we do not appreciate appeasing the mullahs, but at the same time, we are not calling for, you know, a foreign war. We think there's a third option. As I said, changed by the Iranian people.
Would it have been easier, Mr. Gobadi, I'm sorry to interrupt you, I'm just curious, would it have been easier for the Iranian resistance if these airstrikes had just taken out Khamenei as well? I mean, Trump said on Truth Social, we know where you are, but we're not going to take you out. Would it have been preferred by the resistance that had just happened?
Well, you know, that's a hypothetical question, but let's deal with the facts on the ground. The point I was about to make was that we do not seek boots on the ground. I think that's very important for your viewers and listeners. We are not advocating for boots on the grounds. We are not even asking for money from the United States or from any other government to that effect. We are not even asking for weapons. You might find it very unique, but that's what we really believe. And we have said time and again, Madame Rajavi testified before the U.S. Congress on February online because she's based in Paris. And she said this very, very clearly that, you know, we do not seek boots on the ground. We do not seek weapons. We do not seek money. All we want is a good policy that recognizes the rights of the Iranian people and the resistance to bring about a regime change by themselves, to be on our side.
May I ask you just quickly, Mr. Gobadi, because I'm short on time with about 30 seconds. I'm sorry to rush this, but I do want to know, just for American viewers and listeners, what is the sentiment amongst most Iranians toward the West and Israel?
Well, Iranians want to be in peace with everyone in the world. They want prosperity. As I said, one of the 10-point plans of Madame Rajavi is to live in peace and coexistence with the rest of the world. We have no enmity towards any other country. Look, there's only one enemy for the Iranians, the regime and the regime only. And that's what we are striving. And I want the people who are listening to your program or watching it to be on our side. The message is there is a viable democratic alternative in Iran. It has been ignored for too long. It has not been heard. It's about time to change the paradigm and bring it to the equation. The situation in Iran is not binary. You don't either go to war or to appease the mullahs. There's a third option. And that's the message.
Shahin Gobadi, I would love to have you back. Just brilliant analysis. Thank you, sir, for your time this morning.
The Chris Stigall Show podcast.